Chase Armor here, Beta2Boss. Thank you for joining us today. I'm with my man, Chris Cavillini, and he has a nutrition company that he started out in Florida. He's out in Tampa. This guy is super shredded. I watched some of his videos. They're completely insane. I remember back when I was 19, I used to be a trainer, and back when I was in shape a little bit, nothing like Chris, but I was doing all these kind of weird exercises and stuff that worked in it. And it always looks good when somebody in shape does it. Like when somebody out of shape does it, it looks like they're about to break their neck. But this guy's completely out of control. Awesome. And he has some great motivational tools and a program called the 7-Day Bitch Slap. I actually signed up for the 7-Day Bitch Slap, and I think it's amazing, and I think it's great. And Chris, thank you so much for being on our show, and welcome to Beta2Boss.
Beta2Boss with Chase Harmer. Growth, scale, success.
Oh, thank you, man. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, well, absolutely, man. I read a lot about your story and did some prep on you, and you had a rough childhood coming up till you about you're 18, and then you built this amazing company. You served some time in the military. Tell me a little bit about your story and where you are and where you came from.
Yeah, I'll just give the Cliff Note version of that, give everybody a little idea
Sure.
of who I am and where I'm from. But basically, I was arrested 17 times prior to my 18th birthday. Grew up a little unorthodox. My mother had me. She was 16 when she had me. She was a drug addict, mentally unstable. My father took off before I was even born. So didn't have a traditional childhood. And, as a result, I spent some time in foster homes, group homes, and, ended up walking a path that put me in a position where I was getting in trouble, later in life, hence, being arrested 17 times prior to when I turned 18. I'm from Boston. Basically, my senior in high school, the state of Massachusetts got tired of seeing my face in the courtroom every week. I was getting arrested on the weekends, and I was a familiar face there. And basically, I got presented with an ultimatum to either go to jail for 7 months or join the military. So I subsequently joined the military and spent 5 of the most exciting years of my life as a Navy deep sea diver. I was in arguably, one of the most elite communities in all the military. It really helped me kind of, develop discipline, structure. I had the opportunity to be around some really good people that kind of, took me under their wing, mentored me, and helped me begin to, turn things around and showed me a better way of living and thinking. I served 5 years, as I said, got out of the military, and, had a little bit of a tough transition, being that, I was in a position in the military where, they tell you where to be, when to be there, what to wear, you know what you're doing, you have that structure. And I got out and I was kind of on my own, and I started slipping back into some of my old patterns.
Sure. I
was working in a strip club, actually, when I got out of the military. And, a lot of people think, oh, it's cool, you're around a bunch of hot chicks all the time. It's actually not cool. I hated it so much that I quit to become a drug dealer. True story. So, yeah, literally. And then, I spent the majority of my 20s as a drug dealer. Just being completely honest, was part of my story. I wasn't selling meth to elementary school kids, but I was selling anabolic steroids, right? Different thing, still unethical, illegal. Right. And I was walking a path that, I was playing with fire. For a lot of years, I was doing things that, are against the law, and it was.
Did you ever get in trouble for doing that in particular?
No. So at that point in time, I had not, and I would say about a year and a half before I completely exited that life. This is now I was about 26 years old. Some friends of mine started getting in trouble and going down. Right, other drug dealers have other drug dealer friends, right?
Sure. That's how it's
a byproduct of the people you surround yourself with, good or bad.
Little circle.
Yeah, and some of my friends started going down, getting in trouble, getting sent to prison, and really, it started to open up my eyes, and I realized I needed to change my ways, and I just got sick of doing what I was doing. I was physically disgusted with myself and developed near paralyzing anxiety, walking the path that I was on, just knowing that at any time it could all be, the rug could be pulled from underneath. I could go back to, when I was, was coming up, I experienced hardship that most people, don't really understand unless they, hear about it, read about it, or see it in a movie. And the fear of going back to, that or being looked at as that was enough to motivate me to start taking action to change my life. And I did that. I basically dedicated my life to personal development. I started reading everything I could get my hands on, consistent to becoming a better human being. I mean, at the time, I didn't have a job, so I had a lot of free time on my hands, right? As a drug dealer,
Sure.
a lot of started to just reprogram my thinking. Started to filter toxic people and just shitbags out of my life, and just begin to move myself forward. And as the universe does, it put an opportunity in my path, which is how I started my company, Nutrition Solutions. And I exited the life that I did, started Nutrition Solutions. What it was then, it was basically me and like 10 people I knew. I had a local catering company that was preparing the healthy meals for me and 10 people I knew. And it was honestly just something that I was doing just to get out of the former life. And the first couple of years, man, my company, I mean, it was a joke, if I'm being honest. And, I think I was making $500 a week. That was the most money that I'd ever made in my life at the time, legitimately.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, it felt pretty good. I mean, I was happy, but, not content. And then stayed the course and decided, I wanted to get better and do bigger things. I stayed on the personal development path, which I still do this day. And, here we are, been in business about 7 years. In the last 8 months alone, I've had the opportunity to be featured in Forbes magazine 4 times. I'm very, very proud to say that I have an amazing team of people that are growing, getting better every day. And, we're doing pretty good right now.
No, that's amazing. And that's a crazy journey. And just to step back 1 second, as you said, the start of that path, right, is that you you let go of some friends and you made some changes in your life. Do you think that's the first step to making those types of changes to reinforce that long term?
It's hard. So it's hard to say that, yes, you have, a lot of people aren't able to, I don't think, make the connection between, you hear that all the time, right? Like,
Sure. That's what I'm asking you.
Cut off one or more losers. But I think a lot of people just like, well, how do I do that? Right. The interesting thing is if and when you commit to personal development and you commit with bettering yourself, it just starts to organically happen, right? Like the people around you, your friends, your family, one would think that when you're doing things to become a better human being, to grow, to evolve, and to do more with your life, you would think that the people closest to you would support that. They would encourage you to do that. And, essentially, basically what happens is the opposite, right? Like when people, your friends, your immediate family, they see you getting better, they see you growing, they freak out about it because it reminds them of the fact that they're not.
Right.
And, try to tear you down, hold you back, fill your head with cynicisms, doubt, and, you can't do this and you can't do that. And then it's going to start to happen. It's going to start to bother you. You hear those things. I think too many people spend way too much energy worried about that. And when that happens, that is like validation from the universe that you're on the right path. So
Sure.
you need to lose friends. You need to lose. I'm talking like your closest family members. Those are the ones that need to go first. That's just a fucking fact. Perhaps later down the road, you guys can reconnect once you get to a better place. Hopefully, you stay the course, continue on the path of discipline, continue on the path of righteousness, and ultimately it will inspire them to begin to make some changes of their own. But the thing that, you don't want to do by any means is spend any amount of time or energy trying to figure out why they're not supporting you or why they're not, encouraging you and cheering you on, because that'll just hold you back, man. The path forward is the path forward, regardless of who supports you or not. It is your path to walk and your path alone.
Well, let me ask you, man. So you started reading and kind of immersing yourself in this personal development journey, right?
Yeah.
Were there certain things? I mean, and there's a lot of personal development books and tools out there. Were there like 1 or 2 things that you're like, "Fuck, that's the shit right there that really resonated"?
Yeah, absolutely. So back then, like it was the fucking Stone Age. This was like 2011, right?
Sure.
And there wasn't as many resources available as it is now. There wasn't as many coaches and people.
Everyone's a coach now, right?
Everybody. That's a whole other fucking podcast we could do. But at the time, and still, to this day, he's the man, and probably will be the greatest of all time. Hundreds of years from now. But Tony Robbins.
Oh yeah.
Somebody put me on to Tony Robbins, and I started watching his videos on YouTube. And I literally watched every fucking piece of content that he put on YouTube multiple times. And one of the things that Tony preaches, one of his main like ideologies is like, if you want to be successful, find someone who's doing it, whatever it is for you, and like basically model what they're doing. And one of the, that really, I held on to that. And one of the things that he did that he said changed his life profoundly was he got into, giving back, like serving other people selflessly. And, that's at the time I didn't really have a lot of resources. I didn't have the finance, like the any money like I do now, where I can, stroke a check and make an impact. But I did have my time, and I started, going to the church and, helping, feed the homeless, donating things, scouting out any opportunity I could to just serve other people on a higher level. And I want to make it very, very clear that this wasn't important to me. I wasn't doing it because like, oh, I really care about helping other people at the time. I mean, how could I know? I've never done it before, right?
Sure.
I did it only because Tony Robbins did it. And again, this guy says you want to be
You're
successful.
still kind of acting out of like self, right? You know what I mean? Ultimately,
Totally.
Yeah, right.
Totally. And when I, started doing it, I mean, it was probably the first time, about maybe 10 minutes in to the first time that, I went to a church and helped, serve the homeless. I quickly realized that like I wasn't just there like for them. I was there for myself. I was there. I felt just a sense of healing and purpose that I'd never felt before. I felt fulfilled. I felt like, something that I was actually doing was important. I felt a great deal of pride, and, I became obsessed with philanthropy. And, to this day, giving back, charity, contribution is one of the most important things to me. It's not something I go around talking about or glorifying on my social media, but it is probably the most important thing to me on a personal level.
Now, there's a lot of different ways that you can give back, right? So what is it for you? What is it for you that you do kind of today, like, that kind of puts you in that space? What do you do?
Yeah. So today, obviously, I'm in a much better financial position than I was, years ago.
Absolutely.
I have the privilege of being able to, contribute financially. If there's an organization, there's a lot of local organizations that we support, we call it partner with. There's one that's very fond of my heart here. It's called Where Love Grows. It's basically an organization that helps combat childhood hunger. Basically, food insecurity is prevalent in Tampa. 1 out of 3 kids is food insecure. So we basically provide them food to provide to these children that are, homeless, food insecure, and don't really understand or know when their next meal is coming. So we do a lot things like that. Every Friday at my company, our team, we do basically a morning meeting. Each department states their business. Immediately after that morning meeting, the team actually deploys into the local community and literally pick up trash. They'll go to the Boys and Girls Club that's about 3 blocks away and maintain the perimeter. Our facility, it's an industrial building. It's not in the most affluent of areas. So the people that live close by don't do an amazing job of keeping the streets clean. So we do it for them. So as I said, there's 2 different ends of the spectrum, right? There's, I have the ability where I can write a check right now and, make an impact. A lot of people aren't there yet. They will one day. But there's other things, very simple things that you can do, like literally take a walk down a street and pick up some trash on the side of the road. If every person in the world picked up 1 piece of trash a day, in a month's time, the entire world would look radically different. Not even, it would feel radically different.
It's everybody making little changes towards that big thing, right? Now, there's a lot of different ways to, and thank you for that. And that's great. There's a lot of different ways to build businesses, right? And I think, people attribute it to many different things. You personally attribute it to, you've had this experience with your personal growth, and you ultimately have a lot of employees, and you're kind of putting them on their personal development, stratosphere too. So you're saying that that's contributed to like 500% of your growth. So I'm curious to know, what is it exactly? Are you kind of giving them the same type of stuff that you went through, or do you have like a course that you guys put them on, or what do you do?
Yeah. Yeah, no, thank you for asking that. This isn't something that I like to just bring up and seemingly brag about, but I do want to brag about it because I'm proud of my team and I'm proud of the fact that we do this.
Sure.
Personal development literally took me from like loser drug dealer with no future to, four-time featured Forbes entrepreneur. And like that's a fact. There's nothing but that. There's a lot of things that I could say, oh, with this and this, but they were all organic consequences, organic byproducts of the personal development. So being that I know how effective and important and impactful personal development is, I feel now that I have a responsibility to put as many people onto that as possible. And, I feel I do a decent job with my, personal social media outlets of, pumping out like good information that, I've learned or experienced on my journey. But within my company, I take my strategy to grow my business is and always has been to invest in the people within, to invest in their personal development. Because if the people within are growing, that means the company is going to grow. It's just this basic math. So a couple of the tangible things that we do. Personal development is mandatory in my company. Mandatory, not saying, hey guys, it's mandatory you do this. No, like personal development is 1 hour per day. We have huge building. Every room of the building is wired with speakers, and we play 1 hour of personal development per day, whether that's a podcast, an audiobook from my personal reading list. We have a reading list of 50 of my top books as it relates to personal development. And these are all pre-designated in advance, like the beginning of the month, the department heads come up with what that structure is going to be. And it's heavily enforced because I know how important it is. Well, this is honest to God, true story. And I don't want to go down like a whole other rabbit hole, but 4 months ago, I was actually in the hospital. I had come down with something that I didn't know. I was battling something for years. I didn't know because I didn't go to the doctor. And basically it got to the point where my hemoglobin was so low that I just passed out, woke up in the ER and discovered a lot of things. And I would say about 2 days after that, when I finally got to the point where I could stand up, I called, everything's good now, by the way, just wanted to make that clear. But, I hadn't been at work. I called my team. I wanted to make sure that, everybody was good, let them know that I was good. And in the conversation, after I, let them know that I was good, I was feeling better, and, I would continue to do so. I said, what did you guys listen to today for personal development? What was the assignment today? And there was about 2 seconds of silence, which indicated to me that they hadn't done it. And dude, I lit them up right there. And I said, listen, I could be on my fucking deathbed 5 minutes away from imminent death, and I will still stay on you and push you about personal development because it is that important. Because it is, and that's just a fact, man. To give you the perspective, I take it very, very seriously. And the personal development is not just, to make them better employees of our company. It's to make them better human beings in the world.
No, totally. And I think a lot of people, they realize that, but they don't enforce it like you are. So that's incredible that you're doing that.
It's hard, dude. It's hard. It takes a lot of energy and effort.
Yes,
most
people,
everybody says that they give a shit. Everybody says that they care. But if you were willing to have those uncomfortable conversations repeatedly and relentlessly and stay on people, that's the hardest part about leadership.
Well, and, I think our mentality here in America is every man for himself, right? Other cultures, they basically they help each other. They help each other succeed. Like here in the United States, I feel like it's every man for himself, not only in business, but personally, right?
Super sad because if the people that have that mentality, right, they just want to help themselves. They just want to help themselves. Well, the best way to help yourself is to help somebody else who needs it more than you. That's a fact. That's not like some positive thinking bullshit. That's a fact. So like the people that are operating with that mentality, it's like, dude, you're taking the wrong strategy.
So, going back to, you have all these things that have kind of catapulted you and your business to this particular, to this level, right? And you guys, the name of the company is Active Nutrition?
Nutrition Solutions.
Nutrition Solutions.
Yep.
And you guys are a monster, you guys do food meals, preparation meals, and workout.
We do healthy meal prep.
Okay. And I used to have a meal service, and I know that's a huge business, especially the ones that we were servicing, because we're a processor and a gateway and things like that. We actually work with a couple large firms like that. What makes your food service and nutrition solutions different than all the other food services out there?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's no shortage of good companies out there that prepare meals. If I would have to, say that our attention to detail and our standards, I like to be humble and give credit where credit's due. And as I said, I'm sure that there's a lot of other meal prep companies that are doing a really good job of doing really, really good things. But we really care. We really give a shit about the clients that we have the opportunity and the privilege to serve. And, we go above and beyond, down to the smallest details to make sure that our clients are not just getting, what they pay for, but are being held accountable to staying consistent with the program. Getting them the meals, that's half of it, right? The reality of it is, they still have to do their part, which is, staying on track, making sure that they're eating the meals consistently. And the reality of it is, a lot of people have a hard time doing that. A lot of people have a hard time doing it. A lot of people have a hard time doing it when it's available to them. Some of the things that we do, we have a team of NASM certified fitness and nutrition specialists and weight loss specialists. These guys are making personal phone calls every day, sending texts, sending videos to check on our clients. We just want to stay in their minds. We want to stay in their minds because we want them to remember what their goals are. Life is so complex and shit happens.
Is that a part of the actual meal service, or is that a separate?
It's not something we advertise. It's just something we do.
Well, that's cool. So it's actually part of. So when we become a client, that's part of the program then.
Yeah. So our taglines like nutrition, motivation, accountability. So we put out a lot of content, to get our clients pumped up. A lot of informative content. We send out supplement guides, little sample workout routines. Just put out a lot of good information to help them, appear, educate them, and help them arrive at a better place so they can, continue with this lifestyle well after they discontinue use of our services. But the accountability aspect is super important, man. And I think we all know, as when it comes to goal setting, accountability is, it's paramount. It often dictates whether or not you're successful with said goal. So we deploy a lot of energy, effort, resources, time, money, call it what you will, to make sure our clients, know that, we're there to help them, we're there to push them, even when they don't want us to. They can call us anytime if they need help with something, if they need some guidance on something, but we're also going to, send them a message here and there if, they're taking a couple weeks off, we notice a little trend, or we just haven't checked in a while. We just want to call and see, hey, how are things going? Last time we keep very, very meticulous, detailed information in everybody's file. So if we have, let's say Bob in Cincinnati, or last time we talked to Bob 7 weeks ago in Cincinnati, he was down 20 pounds. Let's check in with him now and make sure that needle is still moving and, we're still on track. And if he's not, let's figure out why, get him back on track and get some momentum going again.
Now, diet is probably the biggest part of losing weight or staying in shape. Would you agree with that? Or do you think it's a combination of both working out and the diet?
That's such an interesting question. I think everybody knows the answer is diet. However, from my experience, and I have a lot of it, I've been doing this for 7 years, we've worked with over 50,000 clients, and from personal experience mainly, it is very, very difficult to eat super clean and super well if you're not exercising. It's almost like this mentality you have. It's like, oh, I'm not exercising, so who gives a shit? So if somebody came up to me and said, listen, Chris, I'm only going to do one of the two, you either eat good or exercise. Which one? Every single time I'm going to say eat good, because not only is it going to make you feel better, it's going to make you look better, it's going to make you perform better. But I do think that I think the whole thing is important, because exercise does so much more than just make you physically look good and look good naked, right? There's a lot of things that go on chemically, biochemically in your brain that makes you feel good. It makes you look at the world differently. And I think it's all important. I think everybody should do both.
Most importantly, you have to do it and take the action, right? Because a lot of people are like, well, I need to lose weight. I need to go to the gym, but they just don't do that action. One of the things that you say is, even if you don't feel like it, just get up and fucking do it, right? So what it is about—
you have a responsibility to be in shape. You have a responsibility to be healthy. You have a responsibility to be fit. You were not put on this planet to look, feel, and perform like shit. in the one life that you have to live. And that's just the way I look at it, right? If you can't get there mentally for yourself, I mean, think about your kids, think about your friends, think about your parents. What kind of example are you setting for them? What kind of example are you setting for the people that you're around every single day?
Right.
You know, like what kind of message are you sending to the soldiers, who paid the ultimate sacrifice and gave their life fighting for our country, the terminally ill children that won't see the end of this month and they'll never have the opportunity to go work out. Like whatever gets you there, you just have to keep in mind it's not just about you.
Totally. Chris, amazing story, man. And it's a pleasure to have you on today. You have a lot of things that you do, and there's a lot of things that I think you put out there. How do people get in touch with you or learn more about what you're doing, connect with you somehow? How do they do that?
Yeah. My Instagram, that's where I'm most active. It's at Chris Cavillini. There's 2 L's in that, Cavallini, and I'm on Facebook too, the same. And our company, for anybody who's interested in checking that out, it's on nutritionsolutions.com.
Right on, man. Well, Chris, a pleasure. If there's any way that we can do anything in the future, I'd love to see how we can make that.
Hell yeah.
Appreciate you coming on. What's that? Yeah.
I said I insist that we do, Chase. Thank you so much for this opportunity, man. It was fun.
Beta2Boss with Chase Harmer. Growth, scale, success.